My dear people of Ambazonia, my dear brave warriors of our liberation movement, accept salutations, special greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro, this day. Today is Wednesday, June 21, 2023. I know you'll be wondering what happened that I just popped up today like this without an announcement. We're going to be having some of those moments at times when the events on the ground really do warrant it. And so, call this the late night edition. And so, true, it's not absolutely late night because I'm very convinced that at 9 p.m., I shouldn't really be talking, 9 p.m. Amber time, I shouldn't be talking about late night, it's just night. And so, yes, please accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro. And today, there are two fundamental issues we are going to be looking at. We will be talking about the situation going on in Mbiame between the Fondom of Mbiame and the colonial administration, of course, led by a son of the soil, that is, a child of the southern Cameroons who is working for the enemy as a colonial senior divisional officer. His name is Menyon Gilbert Sunday. And so we will be looking at, what is going on between him, the Fon, his notables, and the people of Mbiame. And then, I've always said it, that the night of long drawn knives, that's a literal translation, the long couteau, the night of long drawn knives in La République du Cameroun is in serious gestation, in serious preparation, and there are serious echoes as part of this very important broadcast. And so, before we really get to that, we will make a quick stopover in Com and Kejom Keku. And the information I'm getting right now, just as I was getting into the studio, I was learning that in Kejom Keku, serious burning of houses is ongoing again by the military of La République du Cameroun. And at the time I was getting into the studio, two vulnerable people already have been burnt alive in their homes. I'll be getting back to that development since it's a developing story as we go on in this live show. So, my people, let's begin with this. You become unstoppable once you realize that you deserve better. I'd like us to take a very quick look at this. These words, they're just the common words, and they're all found within the first 2,000 vocabulary of the English alphabet. You become unstoppable once you realize you deserve better. If you take a careful look at this piece of wisdom, it simply joins to what I've said here before, over and over and over. In another way, that anytime you settle for less than you deserve, you will end up with less than you settled for. And now it is fine-tuned here in another form by saying you become unstoppable once you realize you deserve better. I'm convinced the people of the Southern Cameroon by this time should already have started realizing that we deserve far, far, far better than we are getting. That we deserve to be treated as humans with dignity, deserving of respect. My people of Ambazonia, listen, look at what is going on in our territory by day and by night. If you're not talking about a young man just coming him in from the southern zone to spend some little time in his village in Boyo and finds himself accosted by police or by soldiers, by the bee, who ask him, can we see your phone? He hands his phone. They look at his phone very carefully and turn it round and round. They even go right inside the phone, search and find nothing incriminating. And they ask him, they tell him, this is an Android phone. He say, yes. Say, a very good Android phone. He say, yes. And they ask him, how did you get an Android phone? You must be Amber. If you're not Amber, how did you get money to buy an Android phone? And upon saying that, they confiscate the phone. They cut the young man away for nothing in the world. They go, and when the Catholic Church, people at the Catholic mission in Bangor, in Bello, hear about this, because they all know this gentleman. They all knew this gentleman, that he was One very harmless young man had no connections at all with the self-defense volunteers. What did they decide to do? The people, the Christians, and even some among the clergy were marching seriously the following day when they got news that this guy was picked up and was in the hands of the La République du Cameroun thugs, who said people must come and identify him and prove that he was not a self-defense volunteer. And by the time these people from the church got to the place, the young man was already killed, and his body was only found 2 days after in water, in a stream, for nothing in the world. And the Android phone, of course, confiscated. One of Mr. Paul Biya's thugs is using it. That is how they live in our land. They loot, they steal, they rape, they burn people alive, they shoot at random, they kill our people for their sport. My dear people of Amazonia, if this hasn't pained you, if you haven't come to realize that as a people, we Ambazonians deserve better than what we are having, than what we have been having for 61 years and counting, then something is wrong with us. But if you have already realized, then you have to transform yourself. Join us in this battle for our lives. Let us all become unstoppable. By all means, let us get La République du Cameroun out of our land. The officials we sometimes get in our midst, I've said here over and over, it is the handiwork of the enemy that is convinced that the only way to keep us in bondage, in perpetual bondage, is to make sure we are never united, we are never working together. And we've proposed interesting models. Let's come together. Keep our group, organization, or movement's identities, but operate together so that we stop anything that has to do with either competing negatively with each other or fighting each other. More than ever before, we need to fundraise together. More than ever before, we need to share notes with one another before communicating, so that at the end of the day, we have some degree of harmony in our communication, and we will not have a lot of gaps. We will not find ourselves saying things that will end up embarrassing us in this liberation movement. This is the submission I've made over and over and over. Just take a look at this. These images you just watched are of our mothers and our sisters, our wives and our children, all of them of the female sex in Bello. They were the only ones who could force their way to the scene where they discovered the remains of this innocent young man, butchered by the forces of La République du Cameroun for doing nothing. Just because he is an Ambazonian, just because he's of Southern Cameroon's extraction, butchered for nothing. That's what happened. Yet they won't even let people go there to pick up his remains and go and give him a decent burial. Only our mothers, our daughters, our sisters had the courage to go there, and you see that this usually is contrary to our tradition, where things like this are handled by the men. Like it happened somewhere else in the world, where they paid attention to systematically eliminating the men so that you have only women and then they will have their way. That's exactly what La République du Cameroun is doing in our territory. If you are a young man in Amazonia, in the southern Cameroons, if you are not fighting, your life is more at risk. Therefore, anytime you hear the military approaching, run for your dear life, because they are after your life. They are after you. You are the main target. Just because you are born of Southern Cameroons, just because they fear your strength, just because they fear your determination, just because they fear the fact that you are that kind of person that will not take nonsense, that if it becomes too much, you will get up and you will join the ranks. Preemptively, they kill you. Preemptively, they take away your life. Preemptively, they butcher you right in front of your mother, of your wife, of your children. And while all this is going on, those people who call themselves elite, those people who got themselves appointed by Yaoundé as parliamentarians, as mayors, as senators, or waiting call, or as councillors, none of them is saying a thing. They're expecting. They're all living away from these villages. And they're expecting that when this thing ends, they'll come to the village and lord it over who? Behave like King Ozymandias? My people of Ambazonia. The pain even gets great when you see the tears of this family member of this young man.
Hanamata wala manang alay sa may jumanse na yeve jimaga kumrasa magang mo'y magas hamati hagas na bayva hachota vatim the intamayima.
I certainly don't understand, but the tears running down from the cheeks of this sister, from the cheeks of this mother, from the cheeks of this wife, cannot leave me indifferent. Those tears cannot leave me indifferent. I'm convinced those tears cannot also leave you indifferent. If you were touched by these tears, arise. Arise and be part of this movement. If you were touched by these tears, arise and join protests wherever you hear there are protests. If you were touched by these tears, arise and contribute. Contribute as much as you can for this liberation movement. I've come here several times to talk about the need to protect the communications of our people, because they are not only tracking the phones even of the brave self-defense volunteers, they are tracking the phones of their family members. And there is a lot being done by the technology developed by others, that while we're buying satellite phones for some of those who are so exposed that they need to be cut off from La République's communications channels, those who are still exposed, and we can't get satellite phones for everyone, there are things being done to at least protect their communications. So when I come here, I cry and I scream, please contribute. Contribute something, let us assist. Some come back and mock. Is that there are things, this has to do with security. I can take time to explain to you exactly what needs to be done with this money that is contributed. But something serious is being done. We have been able to send some satellite phones to the ground. We are working seriously to raise money to assist those who are using other means to protect the communications of our people, our most exposed people. And so when I come here and say, please make your contributions, let us continue to assist those people. All you get sometimes are insults. But look at these kind of things that are happening. It's painful. And for all our people in Ambazonia, let me make it clear. A lot of the phone numbers of our self-defense volunteers that were leaked by those who move into the DDR to join the B of La République du Cameroun and begin fighting on the side of La République du Cameroun. All those phone numbers are not only being tracked for the self-defense volunteers, they also struggle to find out who they were communicating with. So if they stop you and they take your phone, what they're looking for, they'll be searching your contacts to see if they recognize the number of any of these self-defense volunteers. The next thing that they do is kill you. I'm saying this so we get intelligent. I'm saying this so we know how to communicate. If you have a phone that you ever use to communicate with any family member, friend or acquaintance who's a self-defense volunteer, never ever go about with that phone. Take this from me today. Never ever go about with that phone. I'm seeing a text message, somebody asking, how do I contribute? If you want to contribute, simple. I've said this before. Use the email amberrelief2018 at gmail.com. Amber Relief is AMBARELIEF at 2018 at gmail.com. Use that email to contribute to this liberation movement. You can use that in contributing either through Zelle or through PayPal. And I want to thank those who are continuing to contribute, no matter how small, on a daily basis. It is helping to move this liberation movement forward. So my people of Ambazonia, if you are on ground zero and you have any communication or you have ever communicated with anyone who is a self-defense volunteer, if it's your family member, your friend or acquaintance, never ever go about with that phone. I'm supposed to get me very clearly. Never ever go about with that phone, because that will mean that as soon as Mr. Paul Bia's talks intercept you, check your phone, the next thing that will happen to you will that we will hear an obituary. They are indiscriminate. They don't care whoever these persons are to you. And that is the most useless approach in life, because they've even gone after the family members of self-defense volunteers, not even because they are involved in any way, as if an adult has the possibility to control the mind of another adult. I've heard voices rise in the ranks of the Ambazonian liberation movement that they should go after the family members of anyone working with the forces of La République du Cameroun or any of the elite based in Yaoundé. Fortunately enough, we had the opportunity to educate our people that a good lot of these family members are not in agreement with some of these evil-minded people, and therefore don't visit the sins of a mature man on other people who may have contributed in no way in getting them to be committing those exactions. My people of Ambazonia, I know some of those people there whose family members are very great contributors to this liberation movement. Let us not be misled by their evil actions to turning against our own. And after they take away the life of this young man, this innocent man, that brutally, the mother struggle, pick up the remains, and they come together and are struggling to lay him to rest, to at least give him some lovely goodbye. Yet, the talks from La République du Cameroun still come to disrupt them. Watch. You find that the majority of those who are here at this funeral are mainly women. Any man you find there, like the one beating the drum, are very old people who have told themselves that there is no point running. They have accepted death. And they have told themselves that if that is what is coming, let it come and take me. But this is so sad. This is not what it's supposed to be. This is not what our forebears bargained for, although they were warned that this is exactly who La République du Cameroun will be. But this is not what our forebears bargained for. As if this is not enough. As if the sacrilege that committed in Boyo was not enough. Mr. Paul Bia's dogs took to the farms to meet the old women and even some few young people who decided to spend their time on the fields to at least cultivate crops to keep the community and to keep their families going. They went in there and opened rampaging fire. Take a look. So you see, this is absolutely indiscriminate. They don't care who they touch. They don't care who they bring down. In the midst of civilians, poor farmers on their farms. And I've been waiting to hear my dear good friend, the moderator of the Presbyterian Church, the Right Reverend Samuel Funky. I've been waiting to hear the Presbyterian Church come out now in total condemnation. To come out now with an even more worded communique or press release, like they did when the CPDM talks set up our mothers in Kejumkeku on the 19th of May, a ghost town day, set them up for destruction. Because this continuous silence with all what has been happening, the massive killing of over 26 civilians in Kejumkeku, and today, the burning alive of 2 more people in their homes after the first Oma was burned in these homes. This silence on the side of the moderator of the Presbyterian Church gives me to begin to believe what was being said, that those who planned what they did with those women in Kejumkeku did it in connivance with them, so that at the end of the day they should hatch those kind of communiques that were hatched. Otherwise, why have they suddenly gone numb? When I reached out, Mr. Moderator, my dear friend, you told me that each time you are informed of horrible things that are happening, you condemn. I have personally shared with you videos, audios, pictures of all these exactions. There's still silence. Still dead silence. So what is going on? Really, what is going on? When shall we rise and stand and fight for our own? When is that going to happen? I have this rather long text, but I'll take the pains to read it. Sent to me here to be shared on this platform by a member of, a former member of parliament, one of those who were truly elected to parliament. He said, we Anglophones, I'll read exactly his words, I'll not change, because I don't refer to myself as an Anglophone, I refer to myself as an Ambazonian, that we Anglophones should look ourselves in the eyes and ask ourselves why some of us have become so devilish. And he says, most of the targeted killings in our villages are setups. We point our enemies to the military for execution. I said this here before, and people thought it was a joke, because that is what is going on. When in the past, they used our self-defense volunteers, misguided them, and gave fake, false evidence, unverified evidence on innocent citizens, and claimed that they were blacklegs, and that they were the ones giving information about the movements of the self-defense volunteers, exposing them to the wrath. And once these people were, brutally murdered, they were the first to send out the pictures to say, these are Amber exactions. Now that we've educated our self-defense volunteers, and I want to congratulate the team of selfless volunteers of the consortium on the ground that go on foot to too many localities to talk to these people, to educate them, to sensitize them, to make them see. You are anonymous today, but the day will come when your pictures and names will shine up there, and everyone will know that this is the wonderful job that you were doing. going in harm's way to educate and sensitize the people so that we not only continue to fight for our freedom, but that we fight purposefully and stay protected. I doff my hat to you. I continue to congratulate you by day and by night for that great job that you are doing. So he says, enemies who have nothing to do with secession, that is referring to with our quest for freedom. We are not seceding, no. We are simply sending out an occupational force from our territory. And someone asked me, is this what we're involved in? Is it a liberation movement or a revolution? Make no mistake, this is a liberation movement. A revolution, you are seeking change. We are not seeking change under La République du Cameroun. No. Revolution will be the business of the citizens of La République du Cameroun who will be seeking to have either regime change or any kind of governmental change or whatever in their country. For us, the people of the southern Cameroon, it is a liberation movement because we want to send away a colonial administration from our territory. We want to eject occupational forces from our territory. Make no mistake with those two words because it's very important. They are completely different. They don't mean the same thing. He says, those for the system, those against the system have engaged into infernal witch hunt. When he talks of the system, he's saying those who are supporting the oppressor, who are supporting the occupational forces, who are supporting the colonial La République du Cameroun administration in our land, and those who are against it have engaged into a kind of infernal witch hunt. The military does not just enter a village, pick up an old man of 80 years and kill in cold blood for nothing. No. Local, village, and traditional politics. Say regime supporters versus opponents. The military is being used to eliminate perceived enemies. That's exactly what is happening. And since they don't have any time to investigate any allegations that are made against any person, they are a killing machine. Order to kill at the first accusation, straight, your name becomes death. It says the reason I'm saying so is because of stories cropping up from the killing of an 80-year-old man in Babanki by the military. Of course, that gentleman has showed his picture here. We saw him, and I was asking, was this man to a self-defense volunteer? Was he standing on the street, blocking the roads, or standing by a burnt and charred car that they said they were self-defense volunteers that were killed there? So he says, I was almost getting a bit mixed up, but I'll find myself out. He said, it is said his death is steeped in chieftaincy politics and his position in this Anglophone crisis. I'm reading exactly what he wrote. His words. That when no regime people, or that when pro-regime people were arranging to use those old models against Amber for illegal levies, the old man opposed the idea. Does it begin to make some sense now? Is everything falling in shape? That he opposed that as wickedness. He opposed the setting up of our mothers. I hope, my dear friend, the moderator of the Presbyterian Church, the Right Reverend Funky Samuel, I hope you can listen to this and hear my voice. I hope you can hear this. You have Christians on the spot. Send them to investigate. Send them to ask questions. And you now know exactly how misguided you were in your press release, how you wasted words that ought rather to be used on La République du Cameroun, on the people simply defending themselves, on the people under attack, on the people facing annihilation, on the people being visited by a genocide, on the people dying in good numbers in slow motion. So behind this too, he says, and so when the military came invading the village, his opponents pointed him out as a supporter of the voices. Reading what he wrote. Behind this too was his position in matters of chieftaincy succession. If this story is true, then it exposes clearly that we have become the real enemies to ourselves, and the military is being used to settle matters unrelated to the liberation movement. Why point out your brother for slaughter over trivial issues? Why set him up? Why? I'm filled with grief. And this is the man. Yes, that's him there. That's the man. Fondom Benjamin. That is the man who is responsible for what is going on in Kejomkeku today. As I said a while ago, over 10 homes have again been reduced to ashes in Kejomkeku today. Mr. So-called Fon. Over 10 homes have already been reduced to ashes as at the time I got into the studio. And the count is already clear that 2 vulnerable people who could not run when they arrived were burnt alive in their homes. Your Majesty, you can heave a sigh of relief. You can congratulate yourself. Yes, you can pop champagne. Go and meet the evil CBDM top guns in the locality. Go and meet Mr. Pobia. Go and meet Lele Lafrique. Go and pop champagne. You are doing well. Decimating your own people. The people your forebears. The people your father. The people your ancestors committed to your care. To protect. And to fight for their interests. Today, you, from Votibouin Benjamin, this is what you have become. You have become a bloodthirsty monster. Rather calling in a killing machine on an innocent people who mistakenly saw you as a shepherd. What a shame. What a shame. What a shame. My people of Ambazonia. It pains me so much when I have to be talking about issues like this. It pains me so much when I'm looking at someone who calls himself Fon. Someone we should be respecting. Someone we should be venerating. Someone who often claimed in the past to have powers beyond, powers that our bare eyes could not see. Someone who is reputed to be communicating with the ancestors and gathering wisdom on how to rule his people to prosperity. He has rather become the single most evil force against the same people placed at his charge. And I said here before, on this platform, that if you make yourself bananas, monkeys will eat you. I repeated it over and over. When you make yourself bananas, monkeys will eat you. You know, in our communities, some people feel that let me have one set, that one leg in La République du Cameroun and one leg in Ambazonia, just so that in case if Ambazonia emerges, remove that E because Ambazonia will emerge, then I will be part of the feast of the harvest. But if Ambazonia crashes and La République prevails, then I'll still be part of the feast of the harvest. That reminds me of the stories I read in Arrow of God, written by the late venerated Chinua Achebe, the Nigerian writer, the book Arrow of God. You recall the main character, Ezeolu, who is a chief priest of Olu, who feels that the only way he will stand this thing is to do what they say, what they said at the time, that it is good to dance according to the rhythm prevalent in your times. So he told himself, why I will not completely go with the white man's religion. Although he's a chief priest of Ezeolu, he's a chief priest of Olu, I should send one of my sons to go and learn the white man's ways, while the other ones will stay, and of course, continue with our traditional ways. That's why he sends Oduche to the white man's school and keeps Obika back at home to be wearing and dancing with one of the most dreaded and most interesting masks, the Ogbazolobodo. For those who have read that book. You can't be either ways. It wouldn't work. And Ezolu was so soon to find that out. If you recall the episode where say Oduche's box is moving, or Oduche's box is dancing, Oduche's box is dancing. The son that Ezolu sent to the white man's school comes back and wants to experiment what he learned in the white man's school, that the worship of the sacred python was evil. So he captures the sacred python, locks it in his box, and it's only thanks to the serious fight put up by this sacred python that the children start screaming everywhere Oduche's box is dancing. Finally, when this sacred python is released from the box and goes its way, there is a price to pay. No matter all the cleansing and everything that is done, we understand that at the end of the day, Ezolu's most preferred son, a guy who was a pride of the village, who was every other woman's wish. All other women, all young girls in the village crushed over Obika because she was so handsome and precious. What happens to him? In the heart of serious festival celebrations, Obika was wearing the most dreaded and all-important Ogbazolobodum, crashes the mask on himself. And that was the end of him. So what I'm trying, the lesson we should draw from this is that, my people of Ambazonia, if you are in this liberation movement half-heartedly, you say, let me keep investing first in the Republic of Cameroon and be doing this, or allow us to listen. It's not going to help you. Because at the end of the day, you get what we call self-inflicted wounds. Let's be committed to this liberation movement. That's why I keep saying this. There's no in between. Be with us, or absolutely just be against us. Don't get me wrong. You can be in the midst of the enemy and even claim to be with them, but we know that you are with us. That's why you have espionage. That's why those things happen. That's why the Republic of Cameroon has a lot of its people in our midst who eat, drink, dance, sweat, and Ambazonia on an hourly basis. Yet, in the depth of the night, they are sending reports to you all day about this one happened, this is how this one is being planned, this is what is happening, and so on and so forth. If you are doing such for us in the midst of the people of the Republic of Cameroon, you are not neither nor. You are in with us. Trust me on this. So, my people of Ambazonia, when we said our funds deserve respect, when we said our funds should stay clear of local politics, this has been said over and over. I recall that in the days of multipartism, some people in government decided to blackmail a good majority of our funds and told them, you are either with a CPDM or we will dethrone you. Because they used the word I used before. And then you will get in this letter, this warning letter addressed by the Colonial Senior Divisional Officer for Bui to the fund of Mbiame. You get that word in there. So by accepting to join party politics, a lot of our funds gave their hands. And they are being used. They are being messed up. They are being destroyed. Look at this. SDO accuses Mbiame Fund of aiding, protecting Amba fighters. What is the reason? Why is he accusing the fund of Mbiame? Do they have anything that shows that the fund of Mbiame has been providing any form of assistance to the self-defense volunteers? No. The main reason is because the fund of Mbiame is not cooperating with them in killing his own people. Because the fund of Mbiame has refused to play the kind of dirty, bloody, and evil role being played by this other one, by the Fond of Kejom Keiko. Because the Fond of Mbiame has refused to stand with the oppressor against his people. Because the Fond of Mbiame has opted for silence, to stay in his corner and continue to commune with his people. Let me go quickly over this letter. I know most of us have read it, but I'm interested in one section where the SDO, the colonial administrator, of course, who is a son of the Southern Cameroons, Menyon Gilbert Sunday, says in this warning letter addressed to the Fond of Mbiame, it has come to my knowledge that you give aid and comfort to separatist terrorists, which is tantamount to jeopardizing the smooth return to normalcy in Mbiame and in Bui division in general, as demonstrated by the following. This is what is reading. 1. You have never taken part in any public ceremony organized in Mbiame. Like, seriously? Is it an obligation? Oh yeah. Either you are with us, or definitely you are against us. During the installation of the new divisional officer of Mven on the 25th of August 2022, you were not present during the said event that was taking place just a few meters from your palace. Furthermore, you equally boycotted the Youth Day celebration on 11 February 2023 and the National Day celebration on 20th of May 2023, and instead mobilized your population to go and work farms in Bonso. My people, the Fond of Mbiame heard that the self-defense volunteers, the liberation movements in Ambazonia had declared 20th May a ghost town, declared 11th of February a ghost town. And he knew that letting his people go out there will expose them to harm. The so-called senior divisional officer, the colonial senior divisional officer, lives in a bee camp. He doesn't go to his urinary without being accompanied by at least 5 or 6 bees. No. But his villagers are not. Have we forgotten about Lukom, who went out and marched in Jakiri in total bravado? 3 of them only marched. The other 2 were not based in Jakiri. 2 days after we saw his remains, what did this same colonial SDO say? Did he even attend the funeral of that Lukom? No, he didn't. The Fond of Mbiame tells himself, rather than my people putting themselves in harm's way, please go to the farms and keep busy. Does that tantamount to supporting the self-defense volunteers? I'd like us to see the reasoning, because we are coming. He says, you entertain an incestuous relationship with enemy forces. On the 14th of June 2023, Amber terrorists moved around your chiefdom and warned all Mbororo people to come out massively to receive you on your return from the USA, else face the wrath. Besides, the population that escorted you upon your return from your journey from Mbonso to your palace in Mbiame was headed by terrorists. Now look at this. This people he calls terrorists, I don't know what he's talking about. If these are self-defense volunteers who are children of Mbiame, who know the tradition of the land, they take part in any ceremony meant to honor their Fond. Oh, it becomes that this Fond is supporting and abetting them. What should he have done? Fight them? What should he have done? Call the bee to come and take him to his palace? Like is the case now with a lot of those who move around calling themselves Fonds? Who have sold their souls to the devil? Oh no. Hell no. Hell no. And if they call on the Mbororo people, the Fulani people, to come out and receive the Fond, it is because they are subjects of the Fond of Mbiame. And it's because of the underlings that we know that the colonial administration has been trying to pit the people against the Mbororo people. And so the people want harmony. The people want a situation where everyone in the land is free to mingle. That's exactly what the enemy does not want. They want to see us fighting each other. Reason number 3. It is alleged you give information to terrorists concerning the movement of the defense and security forces and mastermind the kidnappings of peaceful citizens for ransoms in order to share in the booty. On the 8th of July 2022, a group of separatist terrorists assassinated the brigade commander of Mbiame in cold blood, and you showed no sign of sympathy or concern about this unfortunate incident. Oh, like seriously. Like seriously. So because the Fond stayed in his corner, he's not involved in this whole thing, stayed in his corner. So the fact that he did not come out to say, to accuse people or to get involved in something he doesn't want to be involved in, it makes him now complicit. Is a Colonial senior divisional officer telling us here that Mr. Paul Biya Stokes therefore share the secrets of their movements with the Fond of Mbiame. That they call him to tell him, we will be going to invent at this day, at this hour. We will be going to attack in Mbonso at this day, at this hour. We will be going to Jakir on this day, at this hour. What quantity is he in their military planning? Is he a member of their military planning? All these frivolous excuses is because they don't find anything. It's simply because this Fond has decided to stay clear of what is going on, has decided to continue to work hard to protect his people. The Fond of Mbiame that decided to continue to protect his people. That Fond of Mbiame was here in the United States of America, was given a hero's reception because he stands with his people. He protects his people. He reasons and understands with his people, and his people love him. A lot of people in Cameroon doesn't like that. No. They don't. He says the killing of a police element yesterday, the 15th of June 2023, around your palace by a group of terrorists shows that you eat and dine with terrorists. To corroborate this, you have shown no compassion to the forces of law and order and administration after this sad incident. What was the police officer doing around the palace of the Fond of Mbiame? So this explains why the soldiers go on a rampage and burn people's homes around every place where any of them is brought down. Oh yes. Absolutely unacceptable. And he goes now to exactly what I've been talking about here. May I remind you, Your Majesty, that as a traditional authority, you are an auxiliary of the administration. Auxiliary. That's the word I used. That the moment they turned our funds and claimed they were auxiliary of the administration, it meant that they were subordinate to any kind of riffraff picked by Mr. Paul Biya and appointed either as divisional officer, senior divisional officer, district officer, or whatever. Oh yes, that's what it means. And because of the 50,000, the 100,000, the 30,000 that they pay to some as being government support, it makes them think, therefore, that these funds have to be pulled by the nostrils. They should not pay allegiance to their people. To the people who pick them as their funds, they should pay allegiance to the administration because they are auxiliaries of the administration. That is why an uninformed, misguided, uneducated clown in Menchum will stand and say people should write letters of or to send applications to his office to become fond of issue. The whole big issue that you and I know. So he says that auxiliary of the administration is therefore called upon to show proof of loyalty, to state institutions and total unflinching support to the powers that be in the frantic effort towards peace building, fighting criminality, and in preserving the unity of our country, Cameroon. So, our funds should not have an opinion. No opinion of theirs. No. Because he calls it unflinching support. That is unconditional support. The ones I'm going to say, slaughter your people, they do. Of course. You can understand. That's why a buffoon like this one who rise up to do such shit. My apologies for using such a dirty word. But that's what it is. So therefore, because the fund of Mbiame has decided to stay out of the dirty waters of all of these things, they now fall on him. As if that is not enough. This warning letter, we got up to this. Mbiame fund notables summoned. We had to get here. Summoned. Next, you will hear that Mbiame funds and notables carted to Yaoundé, accused of being apologists of terrorism, of secession, of anything you can name. That is what it is. Simply because the fund has decided to stand with its people. Simply because the fund has decided to stay away from the dirty waters of the evil genocidal agenda of the Republic of Cameroon on our land. Has anyone forgotten that the palace of the fund of Bafut has been raided at least 5 times over for the same reasons? Have we forgotten that the fund of Com has come under intense fire for the same reasons? But turn around and look at, they venerate people like the fund of Bali. Yeah, the fund of Bali Nyunga, Doga Nyunga, Dr. Waiting Call. Because those are the people who stand against their people and are ready to get all their people wiped out as long as it makes him senator. This is the stark contrast. Yeah. Listen, folks. Our self-defense volunteers may be fighting for the freedom of Amazonia, but they know our culture and our tradition. They venerate the representatives of our ancestors who are our forms. But those ones that have decidedly turned against us are people who have become members of the enemy's camp. Yet, our self-defense volunteers still show caution and mercy in dealing with them. That is why someone like the fund of Bambala, Shomitang, found himself living with the self-defense volunteers in the forest for over 1 year. And when he came away from there, looked at him, no scratch, nothing on him. Nothing. They couldn't get there. They couldn't give in to the temptation of taking away his life. Despite the fact that he stood openly and screamed and said, nous ne sommes pas avec les sécessionnistes. Nous supportons le président Paul, bien sûr, pas avec les sécessionnistes. But they spared his life. They kept him, they fed him. When we saw him, he wasn't lanky and ungraceful. He had nothing on his body to show he was tortured. Nothing, absolutely. Nothing. Because our self-defense volunteers understand our tradition. It's the same thing they did with the Fondom saw. When they took him, nothing happened to him. He was not touched, nothing. My dear people of Amazonia, that is why the Republic of Cameroon gets so mad when they find someone like this fund of Mbiame. This is when he was here in the United States of America, received in pomp and ceremony, massive celebrations, because, like he said in his own words, I know my people and my people know me. Yes, because this fund believes and is convinced that he is seated on the ancestral stool by the will of both his ancestors and his people. And therefore, it is his sacred duty to rise up to the occasion when it comes to ensuring that the interests of his people are protected. What the colonial administration wanted the fund of Mbiame to do, or wants the fund of Mbiame to do, is to behave like the evil fund of Kejom Keku. Yes, to behave like Fond Vutsibong Benjamin. But because it did not happen, that's why they're after him. My people of Mbiame. In fact, my people of Bui County. No, in fact, my people of the Northern Zone. In fact, my people of Amazonia. My dear people of the Southern Cameroons. Brave warriors of our liberation movement. let us gird our loins to stand for our fun. If La République du Cameroun dares to touch one hair on his head, they should be able to know. We should bring them to know that there will be limits to the rubbish they're exacting on our territory, and that there will be consequences. Touching that fun could easily result to what we saw in the streets of Ambazonia on September 22, 2017. We saw in Bamenda recently, spontaneously, we saw in Boya, we saw in Ekona. My people of Ambazonia, let us stand ready to rise to the occasion for our traditional sovereign who has decided to stand by our traditional values. It makes all the sense in the world. And now, I'll wrap up with this piece of information that I shared at the start. I kept it carefully until this moment because I wanted us to address issues of utmost importance to Ambazonia before coming to this piece. Although it stinks as foreign news, it's not absolutely foreign news. I'm sure a good lot of us know Gibai Gatama, or I've heard about Gibai Gatama. I don't know what that slide is taking time. Oh, okay, it's finally there. Gibai Gatama is the president of an outfit known as 10 Million de Nordiste. Gibai Gatama, yes. He is the president of an outfit known as 10 Million de Nordiste. He is a journalist, he's a publisher, he is based in Yaoundé. My dear people of Ambazonia, what Gibai Gatama is saying in this post, if any one of us, if an Ambazonian dared it, even before 20 people read it, you already be either in jail or maybe in the grave. Gibai Gatama says, le pouvoir et le Grand Nord me fait penser à une mère et son nouveau-né. That power and the northern regions of La République du Cameroun get me thinking about a woman and her newborn baby. And he says, on monte, on descend, l'enfant finira par téter. That whether you go up, come down, whether it rains or it shines, the baby will end up sucking its mother's breast milk. So what he's saying here is clear, that whether you like it or not, power in La République du Cameroun must go back to the Northeast. Whether you like it or not, power must go back to the North. Rien à faire. That's what he says. And Boris Berthaud, who publishes, he says, le message est clair. C'est quelles que soient les circonstances, le Grand Nord retournera au pouvoir. On monte, on descend. Quelles que soient les circonstances, le Grand Nord retournera au pouvoir. I said here earlier in this broadcast that the night of long drawn out daggers, and I said it was a literal translation from La Nuit des Longs Couteaux in French, that day is coming. You see all the gesticulations by Frank Biya, left, right. I'm sure you listened once to J. Paul Reningono. At least he's doing a marvelous job. Sometimes, I do listen to him. And he said recently, he alleged recently, that Frank Biya, when on his visit to the far north or to the north, when he made the Lamido of Rebuba, that he was actually given a poisoned portion. But in the end, he also said that some healers came in from India to treat him. So what I'm trying to say here is the battle is going to be infernal. The battle lines are being drawn on a daily basis. La République's rendezvous with Armageddon is not far. This is why in our archaeo, all we need to do is make sure we sink the differences among us, focus and work together. Listen, folks, we have to work together. Come rain, come shine, we must have to work together. because that is the way to victory. I will not end this show today without us sharing this. Do not correct a fool, or he will hate you. Correct a wise man, and he will appreciate you. In Amazonia, anytime you point out people's wrongs, you automatically become an enemy. You automatically get Christian as an agent of La République. You automatically get Christian as an infiltrator. Anytime you point out to people that this path is leading to nowhere, you face this vicissitude. My people of Amazonia, I'd like us to learn that someone only corrects you because they like you. Someone only corrects you because they want to work with you. Someone only corrects you because they want you to succeed. So therefore, let us learn to take corrections with wisdom. Let us learn to appreciate those who correct us. A lot of people do reach out to me every now and then to point out one piece of correction or the other. I enjoy it. And I want to thank all of you who are doing that. You help me to become a better me. You help me to improve upon myself. We should enjoy this wisdom. So I want to thank all and sundry for the time you set aside to share with me on this broadcast. Of course, share the link as much as you can so that our people will get this message, and we must continue to stay resolute in our quest for freedom. To God and to Him alone be all the glory.